MotorWeek is made possible by Rock Auto, Tire Rack, and Die Hard.
This time on MotorWeek 89, Porsche boosts power on the 944 Turbo. Craig Singhaus improves his power with in-car exercise. An aftermarket company adds bulk to the Taurus station wagon. And Lisa Barrow talks about efforts to beef up truck safety. So come drive with us next.
MotorWeek 89, television's automotive magazine, with your host, John Davis.
Hello and welcome again to MotorWeek 89. We're glad to have you with us. The world these days is awash in horsepower, from hatchbacks with turbos and four-valve heads to V8 Detroit pony cars to European sports cars. The horsepower numbers grow larger every year. This Porsche 944 Turbo now produces 247 horsepower, about as much as a 5.7-liter V8 in an IROC Camaro. But important as horsepower would seem to be, it's still the package that power comes in which means the most. Let's see how Porsche has chosen to harness its latest power increase. To do that, we needed a venue a little more demanding than our usual testing grounds. So we took our silver Porsche 944 Turbo to Savannah, Georgia's Roebling Road Raceway. But let's take care of those mundane housekeeping matters before we go out and have fun. Porsche's hottest four-cylinder car is EPA rated at 19 city, 27 highway. Not bad. The price is $47,600. Not cheap. But Porsche is quick to point out that this year's model has a few things that last year's didn't. The brakes, for example, are bigger and better ABS units from the 928 S4. The wheels and tires are also wider than before. Underneath, the suspension has been retuned with thicker anti-roll bars and hardware too numerous to mention. There are changes for the inside, too. Lots of standard equipment. Cruise control, a Blaupunkt stereo with 10, count 'em, 10 speakers, and an anti-theft system, and airbags for both driver and passenger. We could go on. But in some ways, the new Turbo is just a 944. The gauges are the same as before, though we don't think they could be improved upon by much. And these all-too-familiar seats lack side support and have a mix of manual and power controls. The steering wheel is not adjustable, but no one complained about not finding a comfortable driving position. Most things are easy to reach, but the 944 dash makes you find things by feel rather than sight. The hidden switch for the lights is a good example. The dash design, though only a few years old, is showing its age in other ways. The heating and ventilation controls are not well marked and seem rather crude. On the positive side, Porsche has finally figured out that stereo means a lot to American consumers. This unit sounded great, and we're happy to say a compact disc player is also optional. Unfortunately, Porsche still needs to work on its windshield-mounted antenna. FM reception was poor in our car. We'll applaud Porsche for this clever bit of engineering. They've installed an airbag on the passenger's side dash and still had room enough left over for the glove box, while other car makers say it can't be done. As for rear passengers, we don't know of many who would fit back here, but three-point rear belts are a nice touch anyway. The seats are most useful when folded down. The long luggage area cover stretches from the back of the rear seats, but if you want it to cover your bags, they'd better be thin ones. There's not much room for things under the hood either, but we figure everything that needs to be here already is. 4 cylinders, 1 turbocharger, an intercooler, black boxes to control it all, and 247 horsepower. That's 30 more than it had before. What's more amazing about this engine is that it manages to run smoothly and quietly while having such high power potential. But enough of this idling. We won't delay gratification any longer. This 944 starts to build its real turbo power at about 3,000 RPM. When the car's launched at that engine speed, the rear suspension complains with some shudder, but we can't complain about the results. 0 to 60 in our car took just 5.7 seconds. The quarter mile, 13.7 seconds at 103 miles per hour. Both numbers are in Testarossa territory. Here's another good number, 108 feet. That's the distance on average that the Porsche needed for stopping from 60 miles per hour. We also found the Porsche's brakes to be completely faultless at much higher speeds, say 130 miles per hour. That's how fast we were going at the end of Roebling Road's longest straight, just before blasting into 80 mile per hour turn 1. The brakes in most production cars won't take this kind of punishment for long. The Porsches never failed us. The course's slower corners also taught us a thing or two about the car. The steering is fairly slow, but precise and accurate. In a tight turn, the nose of the car will drift safely to the outside. Lifting off the throttle will point the nose back in, but you don't have to worry much about spinning if your technique is too abrupt. In fast turns, the handling is more neutral. The car neither pushes nor plows. It just goes where it's told. As fast cars go, and as Porsches go, this one has the manners of Emily Post. Stability is another of this Porsche's virtues. On this relatively short straight, we weren't able to reach the car's advertised top speed of 157, but we were sufficiently impressed with the way the car felt at slower three-digit speeds. In more typical driving, you're likely to feel highway expansion strips more in the turbo than you would in, say, a 928 S4, but it is never tiring. Here are more interesting comparisons. The 944 Turbo is nearly as fast as the Ferrari Testarossa. The 944 has anti-lock brakes. The Ferrari doesn't. And for the price of a Testarossa, you could buy 3 944 Turbos. The 944 Turbo cost almost $10,000 more than a Corvette L98. The Corvette is slower off the mark and lacks the solid feel of the Porsche at high speed. But thanks to its wealth of low RPM power, the Corvette can be more entertaining to drive at low speeds. If you haven't figured it out yet, we're impressed with the 944 Turbo's high-performance handling, braking, and acceleration. Yet it is still a pleasure for mundane everyday driving. But the Turbo falls down when it comes to driver accommodations. The heating and ventilation system is showing its age. The dashboard could be better organized. And the seats lack the side support that's needed for spirited driving. And for their spirited driving, Porsche 944 Turbo owners will get a car that's much more than just fast. They'll get a machine in which the suspension and brakes have been carefully tailored to its powerful purpose. They'll get a machine in which all the parts are working in concert. They'll get the best balanced high-performance car we've ever tested.